Hi, I'm Trevin, and I'm here to introduce the company that we are working on, the American Chamber of Commerce in Singapore. One of the reasons why we have chosen this company is because we have exclusive access as I'm working there as the head of information technology. Let me just go over what AmCham does. AmCham is a chamber of commerce that runs on memberships. The more memberships we have, the higher revenue we have. Why do companies sign up for membership with us? We have a wide range of members from MNCs to SMEs to other associations, etc. We have connections with the American government as well as the Singapore government, which gives these member companies that we have exclusive insider information that they wouldn't get externally, like on the newspapers, etc. And also we connect these businesses with each other to create more business for our SME members as well as MNCs who are looking to expand their own businesses. This is a quick overview on what the numbers are at AmCham. In this slide, we do see some of AmCham members, some of the digital media that AmCham uses, its flagship events that members sign up for, as well as certain publications that AmCham works for with its partner companies. Over here, we see AmCham's internal structural breakdown, essentially how its departments are structured and the number of staff we have. So as a quick overview, we have about 16 staff and we're looking to expand it to a 19 to 20 staff in a couple of months. It's broken down into 6 upper management staff, 5 middle management staff, and 5 executives at the moment. But we're looking to push that number to 8, as well as we have decided to choose 4 of each of the categories to do our interviews and survey on. Before we go into the actual survey results and data that we found out, we just did a short experiment to see how many people respond to a survey that requires certain information and how many people did answer the survey and felt more open to sharing their thoughts when they did not need to disclose certain kind of information. As we see in survey A, the results weren't great. People weren't really that open to sharing their opinions and not many people even responded out of the 12 people that we surveyed. And we see a big difference in survey B, which is our chosen data set. We had more people answering our survey. Basically, everyone we sent to answered, and the data is more honest and more open. Now, before we move into what we found out in the survey and interviews that we did, these are some of the things that AmCham does that we felt was good to put out there before we gave our recommendations. So its main communication platform is Microsoft Teams. It's because it's running on Microsoft 365 ecosystem. This is where the staff work on, they communicate with each other, and they share documents and files. So this is where the main point of communication would be happening in terms of work and even personal stuff. Next are staff benefits. As we see here, there are various staff benefits that AmCham does offer to its staff. But one of the main points that we see is the Karma feature that they have. Is basically an app added on into Teams. This allows staff to award each other certain points and based on the tasks that they do. And lastly, the work environment. We see it is a good environment to work at, as well as recent IT infrastructure changes with the latest laptops, Wi-Fi, etc. Now, based on the data we collected on survey B, these are some of the areas of improvements that we have identified. Firstly is communication. There seems to be a trend of loss of information between departments, and this causes their works to be affected, mistakes to be made. Secondly is job prospect and personal development. We feel that based on the survey results, many of the staff felt that they weren't able to have a clear direction on the career growth and are not sure on the opportunities available at the chamber for them to expand their roles. And lastly, high turnover rate. And this is something that we saw in terms of hiring process and staff retention. We felt that based on the survey results, new hires tend to not stay past the probation, which is about anywhere between 3 to 6 months, as well as there is a general consensus of doubt on whether the current staff who are there have their job security or not. And now I'll hand this over to Li Her, and she will talk more about the issues on communication.
The first issue that we found from our interview results is communication. It is not uncommon for someone to rise to address a group of their colleagues and say, the numbers speak for themselves. Frankly, the numbers never speak for themselves. They almost always require some sort of interpretation some sort of explanation or context. When communication fails, the team will be demotivated, loss in trust, and low productivity. In a communication flow, feedback being the last step of the flow is very crucial, and it increases the effectiveness of communication. These are the type of communications and the personal preference in communication channels. Based on our interview results and feedback from Trevin, the communication flow that is currently present in AmChams are vertical communication, downwards and upwards, and also horizontal communications. And the issue arises at horizontal communication, as workers from different departments may be reluctant to work with unfamiliar faces or even hostile towards them, will be reluctant to pitch in for the bigger picture. Lack of trust from different departments will also hinder the project to success, and time being wasted on informal interactions or no exchange of new information among colleagues will also affect the team performance. And lastly, the pandemic has made it even harder to manage remote teams, and teams are communicating even lesser due to lesser face time. We have a few recommendations. Firstly, is to foster and model a collaborative culture which leaders should lead by example, and this should help build a sense of trust. Earlier on, we mentioned that feedback is crucial. Leaders should build an environment which welcomes feedbacks, and team members should feel comfortable to speak out and share their opinion. With that being said, we encourage the organization to facilitate consistent communication. We suggest having weekly meetings, because meeting in person or via Zoom, which include richer information being shared via oral, nonverbal, and visual communication during screen share, instead of only communicating via written communication such as emails or text. Lastly, due to the pandemic, we are now a virtual working team. Setting more explicit agendas and keep workflow transparent via digital software such as Slack, Trello, and Asana can increase information flow and reduce any miscommunication or confusion. That concludes issue 1, and next on to Marcus.
Based on our survey findings, the team actually found 3 areas of concerns to look into. Firstly, would be the staff suggestions on the area of improvements, whereby 25% of staff felt that job prospect is important to them. Secondly, is actually the current culture and working environment, whereby the above pie chart suggests that personal development is lacking as compared to other parameters such as freedom of speech. Thirdly, we also found out the top 3 needs of staff, whereby 41.67% of staff felt that personal development is paramount for better job prospects. And with these above findings, the team also asked in-depth questions again to all the staff and found that actually unclear career growth and lacking of opportunities is a real issue in the company. The team utilized Herzberg's two-factor theories to better understand the situations at AmChams through conducting interviews and surveys across all levels of staff. This allowed the team to gather good data to recognize hygiene factors and motivators within the company to look into. The hygiene factors that the team has found out was actually peer relationships, leadership qualities, and also job securities. These are the main concerns flagged up by the staff, which is directly affecting and impacting the personal developments and also job prospects of the staff. The team is proposing to eliminate negative hygiene factors by focusing on encouraging more interdepartmental interactions between the departments and also the peer relationships between the peers from different departments. Secondly, the leaders of the company should be more decisive in their decision on projects and to manage as well to actively apply suggestions being given from their teams. Thirdly, periodic checks by leaders should be provided so that staff can give feedback on improvements on any concerns they have about their job. Moving to step 2, the team also found that there were 4 pointers for motivations, which is mainly responsibilities, job satisfaction, recognition, and advancement. So the staff should be encouraged to handle more projects on their own and not be micromanaged. And secondly, job satisfaction. The leaders should actually encourage feedback from their staff if they like their current jobs, or were there any certain aspects that they want to encourage growth in their role. Thirdly, recognition. The company policies should be introduced to better recognize various contributions and good job done by the staff. Lastly, advancement. The staff who want to be sent for courses and certifications to improve their job skills and for their future in the company. So with all this, the outcome would definitely increase the positive motivators and also promote positive high hygiene factors, which eventually will give better performance and productivity in AmCham. Lawrence.
Thank you, Marcus. Hi, I'm Lawrence, and I'm going to talk to you more about the current concerns on hiring and retention. So we understood from the survey where 50% of our participants felt that there was a high turnover rate. Also, one of the 3 main areas that needed improvement is the process of hiring and retention. So regarding improper job role and personality fit, some come in with the necessary qualifications and training, yet in the process get overwhelmed and can't fit in as they don't match the personality needed at their job and to fit the culture. So as we all know, candidates usually bring the best version of themselves during the interview. So it is also good to assess them using these tests that will be spoken about by my teammate Colin. Such assessments that help us to understand their temperament, if they would fit the culture, and to understand their working style, if they would fit the role. They will also complement the organization in terms of the types of candidates that will be appropriate for the culture that they want to set. There's also been a mismatch of expectations. High turnover rate is said to occur for certain positions, and they felt that during the hiring process, the description could actually be revised to attract the right candidates. Also, during the survey, some actually said that that some of the employees expect the place to be a stepping stone for their career, but end up not staying. So when we look at this, understanding from the managers and teams better on the roles required would actually clarify and define the team's expectation, and also would provide clarity to the employee. Finally, improper task allocation. So these analyses, when done well, will actually lead to better task allocation, and the task allocation and role matching, if followed up regularly, would ensure a cohesive company culture. And this is something that my team member Colin will be sharing further in detail about. Thank you. So over to you, Colin.
We would recommend to have a personality test during hiring process. It is not only to find the right person fit into AmCham Singapore, but also to help AmCham to predict employees' behaviors such as job performance and satisfaction. So one of the framework that AmCham can consider is Big 5 traits model. Based on this model, extraversion and conscientiousness are the most preferred traits that AmCham is looking for. A person who scores higher in any of these traits develop higher job performance and enhance leadership. We also encourage that manager in AmCham must always give feedback to the team members, assess team members' behavior, and then assigning tasks according to their strengths and weaknesses. So Belbin 9 team roles is a good assistance tool to give an insight of the team roles behavior. So based on this Belbin 9 team roles model, it is not necessary to have all 9 roles working simultaneously, but most important is to understand team objective and tasks that need to be undertaken. So we have identified that sharper, plant specialist, and team worker are most preferred team role for AmCham, and we believe that AmCham can establish a dynamic and high-performing team by using this Belbin 9 team roles model. So above are our findings from the interviews with AmCham employees, and we hope that the organization would take up on our recommendations and apply them and see the improvement in their work team culture and performance. Thank you.